Yeah. So Jason, we were talking about at the top of the episode. I was giving you a little bit of information about this story I'm going to talk about, this case, where a woman killed another person, her husband, with something that's found in pretty much every pantry or kitchen cabinet, in the world, sugar. And, you're telling me this story about a woman hiding antifreeze in sweet tea. So it's really interesting how both of these are kind of around this, though this is not a poisoning.
Here we go again, right? Like we always do this. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, in July of 2020, 59-year-old Corrine Smith of Neston, UK, heard a rumor about her husband that made her blood boil. It wasn't that the 81-year-old Michael Baines had cheated on her. It was that he had abused a child. And so, rightfully so, if you hear this about your husband, I get, not being happy about this and confronting them. In a fit of rage, Smith confronted her husband on the allegation, which led to a huge argument between the two, as you can imagine. He denied the allegations, but clearly Corrine Smith did not believe him. On July 14th, she decided she would exact her revenge on her husband. And when I say exact her revenge, it was unclear. I was seeing that she had some kind of an argument about this rumor. I think the rumor may have come from a family member of hers or something. I could not find specifics on this, but it led me to believe from what I read that this child might have been in her family, which is why this, when I say exact her revenge, that's not a statement from me. That's actually in the reporting, is that it was revenge. So that's what led me to believe that. While Baines slept, Smith grabbed a bucket out of her garden and filled it with boiling water. She then mixed in 3 bags of sugar, creating a sort of a homemade napalm. She proceeded to take the thick, hot, viscous slurry and douse Baines's arms and torso while he slept in the couple's bed. So if you're not really sure about why that would be so bad, if you were to throw boiling water on someone, of course, it's going to burn incredibly bad. It's going to do damage to the skin, but it's going to cool very quickly. Sugar, a lot of sugar in the water makes it almost not quite the consistency of honey, but getting there. I mean, it's like a
right.
I don't know how to explain it when most people haven't mixed that much sugar in something.
It's kind of like that corn syrup solution.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot thicker than water. So if you were to throw that on someone, pour that on someone, I mean, it's not going to cool as quickly and do a lot more damage.
You got to kind of have to scrape it off.
Yeah. You can't just put a towel on it and blot it off or whatever. So, seeming to realize what she'd done, Smith ran in tears to a neighbor's house 9 doors away, stating, "I've hurt him really bad. I think I've killed him." And so the fact that she didn't pick up the phone and call, I don't know what, it's not 911 in the UK, but whatever it is.
Picked up the telly.
Yeah, pick up the telly. But the fact that she didn't do that, she went to a neighbor's house 9 doors away, 9 houses away. And apparently it's not even someone that she really knew. She just seemed to knock on a random door. It wasn't a friend of hers. Police arrived on the scene shortly after and found Baines in agonizing pain, whimpering on the bed, the skin on his arms and hands falling off from the burns. And again, the boiling sugar water had done so much damage, according to police, because of how much more viscous it was, and it settles into the skin more, continuing to do damage and cooling off at a slower rate. And the guy was 81. I mean, Smith was arrested and charged with grievous bodily harm. Detective Chief Inspector Paul Hughes said Smith killed her husband Michael in such a painful and cruel way. To throw boiling water over someone when they are asleep is absolutely horrific. to mix 3 bags of sugar with the water showed the determination she had to cause him serious harm. So he didn't die initially. Baines was taken to the hospital where he was in intensive care for a month before sadly passing away on August 18th, then upgrading Corrine Smith's charge to murder.
Yeah, slow, painful death, right?
Horrible. Like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's never that. It's never that first thing. It's like your body shuts down. It can't put up a defense against whatever that is, right?
Yeah, different organs are shutting down, and just, you know, I've never burned myself anywhere near to the point of skin coming off or something. But everybody's at one point or another burned themselves on the stove or just whatever. It's such a painful thing, and I cannot imagine getting that 3rd-degree burn to where your skin is bubbling off. I mean, that's a horrible, horrible way to go. Crown prosecutor Jane Morris told the BBC that Smith's actions were, quote, deliberate and considered, and that she was clearly upset about the dispute that they had, but the evidence demonstrated that she was in control and acted in anger when she perpetrated the attack on her husband. After a trial lasting only 5 days, Corrine Smith was sentenced to life in prison. I will say one thing, Jason. This rumor, you know, the whole thing that started this was that he had abused a child. And you know me.
Yep.
That's one thing, as probably most people, but hurting a kid.
Me too.
Yeah, man, you get zero empathy from me, you know. So there's nothing that leads me to believe that allegation was true about this guy, Michael Baines. Of course, he's dead, so there's no way to confront him now on it. If it was true, if it was provably true, was she kind of doing, not that you're doing the right thing, but could you make some kind of justification for that, what she did?
And how long did she go away for?
Life.
Really?
Yeah. Once he died and it was upgraded to murder, I think she got 12 years initially, or it was going to be a 12-year sentence. And then when he passed away in the hospital, it was, you know, she had another trial and went to life.
Let me ask you a question. I'm diverting a little bit here. I've just done the poison episode, right? Or the poison segment, the $30 million scam. And you're talking here about this. Do you remember the anarchist cookbook?
Oh God. From high school. Yeah.
Right. It was like one of those things that for me, it was like everyone talked about, but no one had.
No one ever saw it. If you're our age, Jason, in high school, I guarantee it was this thing that you wanted to see.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Yeah, it was. And part of it was because you were scared, because that was right around, you know, the internet was just out, and it was like, and I know that they were actually tracking. If you downloaded that, they were certainly tracking you. So that became a big fear too. It was like, I'll look at it if someone's got a copy printed.
Right. Yeah, it was just a thing of like, this is the cookbook of all the ways that you can
make
all
bombs.
The bad things that you would never want to ask anyone, but like you're kind of being told or shown by the diagrams, right? I remember that. It's kind of a how-to book for
make bombs out of household things.
I know, right?
Yeah, whatever. It was all kinds of stuff, right?
And now you can just go on the internet, and I'm not recommending this, but I wonder if there are probably public websites, but also probably dark websites that essentially instruct you to do this. I'm wondering, again, we've talked about this, I want to poison X. What should I use? How should I go about it? Or I want to hurt someone. I think people just go on the internet. How specific are they? Like did she know this sugar water and hot, you know, that with the hot water? Did she just know that because she knew it, or did she? We don't know, right? But it's like
you'd have to learn it somewhere.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but because it's what we do, but this is the upside and downside of true crime being popular in the, you know, in pop culture now, right?
Yeah.
People think of how many true crime stories out there learn about things that people have done to commit murder or crimes that never got caught and why they never were caught. how they hid evidence, what mistakes they made, what they should have done. I mean, that's the
Copycat
anarchist
killers.
cookbook right now.
Right, copycat killers, like
Yeah.
knowing who got away with what and the right
Yeah.
way to do it, and
Yeah.
copycat killer was kind of it was a thing for the movies, right? But you could, if
But it
you
was
paid
real.
attention, yeah. But you could, absolutely.
Yeah.
There was always like, is this the same? A murder would happen, and then a similar murder would happen halfway across the country, and they would always say copycat killer, right? Because it's like, oh, it probably isn't the same person. What's happening now? Like we really don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I got another one for you that I was just thinking about when I thought of Anarchist Cookbook. Do you remember Faces of Death? And can you explain this to the audience who may not know what this is?
Yeah, Faces of Death is another thing that was popular in like, I want to say early mid 90s. And why it was popular, I don't know.
Before then.
It was before that.
Yeah.
So I saw that stuff in, I want to say like the early to mid 90s. Because I remember my cousin and I, this was when you'd go to the VHS store.
Yep.
And I'm not even talking Blockbuster. I'm talking like we would go to like the
Sal's video store.
Yeah.
And they were everywhere, by the way. Like
the Video Hut was where we went. That was what it was called. But yeah,
Hollywood Video. I mean, you would go to Blockbuster to try to get the big movie.
Yeah.
But there's no back room for the stuff like this or the other stuff, of course. But there was kind of every strip mall or every like those. Formerly a Pizza Hut, now a video store type thing.
But so Faces of Death was like a series of videos that was just compilations of things that you could honestly probably find to some degree on like Twitter, X,
Right.
on TikTok,
Today. Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But it was video that had been captured of crazy things of people, of people dying, usually, or being seriously hurt, but car accidents, shootings, just all very, very graphic. But one of those things that when I say it was popular, it was never popular because it was like, it was cool. It was just something that you hadn't seen in a format like that ever before.
Yeah.
And it become like this, just like you asked me, have you seen this? And that piques your interest. So especially if you're, a teenager or whatever. But yeah, I saw all those. Yeah.
Yeah. And they always, so it would be in this back part of the video store. And you remember what the label would always say? It was something like banned in 48 countries.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
spit on your grave.
Yeah, like parental discretion advised on, or parental advisory on a music album, a rock album, or a rap album. Like, oh, that's the one I want. And so you, as a teenager or 20-something, whatever, you see that in the video store, and you can kind of get away renting it, and it says banned in 48 countries. You're
But not
probably
here.
renting it. Yeah, but you're gonna want to get in there. So I remember it too. I remember that banning notice, and it was just legendary. Like, we talked about it forever, but no one had seen it. And then one day, like, someone rented it, and they called all the guys over, right or wrong, whatever you think of that. And it was grainy and morbid, and if I remember right, they even had it felt like a narrator doing documentary footage voiceover, like a Planet Earth. Like
I don't even remember. I don't even remember. It's been so long.
And a lot of them were car crashes, and I remember a couple that I won't. But I was like, you're 10 minutes into this or 5 minutes into this, and I did not want to watch any of it because it was so disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross.
But it was a rite of passage is the wrong word, but it was like one of those peer pressure dare.
Yeah.
I can't look away, but like, I have to look at this.
Yeah, why are all my friends, or why are so many people talking about this? Yeah. And it was also something you weren't supposed to do. Like, look, we would go to the video store, and like I say, me and my cousin, and we would get that. We were old enough where, like, whatever mom and dad aren't going, well, what do you got? What rating it? It just wasn't that way in the late 80s, early 90s. It just wasn't. And we'd go, and we'd get whatever. Oh, it's just some horror movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not.
We
being
weren't
checked.
watching it with like our parents.
Yeah, you're down in the basement, and you remember we were left to our own devices. All summers, all the time, and you weren't always outside. But if you were inside, you were probably like downstairs watching a horror movie or
late at night when they're in bed.
Yeah, whatever. And so like there was always just kind of a collection, and of course you had your own taped movies too. So it was just part of it. You're right.
I mean, I'm from the generation of like when you were up late, and you would try to get like the it wasn't really porn channel, but like they would show like the X-rated movies, but they'd scramble it. Do you remember doing that? And you'd watch it, and it would every now and then you'd get this like little bit of a clip when it wasn't quite scrambled. Do you remember that?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Sean.
Are you serious? Yes, you do.
Of course.
You do.
That's American Pie. That's in the first American Pie.
God, it's been a long time since I've seen that, but that was real, man. That I can just totally remember that. And it would be like, when they scrambled it, it was all like green and yellow and just like wonky colors, and every now and then you'd get this like 1 second, half second, you'd see a nipple, and you're like,
we were an interesting
such
interesting creative bunch who saw a lot of things completely unfiltered. Let's put it that way. I mean, between Anarchist Cookbook, Faces of Death, and all this other stuff, we were like little detectives, trying to figure out how we get access to this stuff. It was crazy.
Different world. Well, that's it. That's all I've got. And sugar, sweetener, horrible stories. Anyway, I'm Sean Kipe. That's Jason Hoke. This has been How It All Went South. Leave us a rating or review if you like the show. Watch on YouTube if you're not. And we'll see you soon.